Hey guys, Dislife Mark here, and I want to tell you all about the official travel partner here at Chip & Company. Let our good friend Sarah at Destination to Travel help you plan your next Disney vacation. Sarah specializes in planning dream vacations for your family. She's an authorized Disney vacation planner, and she can help with every step of your magical vacation. The best thing is that her services are 100% free. Want to travel beyond Disney? Sarah has you covered there too. Want to find out more? Fill out a trip request form over at the website at Chip & Co. or email her directly at sarahsolberg@d2travel.com. What are you waiting for? Start planning that dream vacation today. Email her at sarahsolberg@d2travel.com.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Greetings, program.
Amigos down there. It is me up here.
Howdy, folks. Please keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the train and remain seated at all times.
Nice work, pal.
Well, we have one of those new talking machines. Now that is something.
We know what our goals are. We know what we hope to accomplish. And believe me, it's the most exciting and challenging assignment we've ever tackled.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Dislife Podcast. Thank you so much for being a part of our Disney Lives here on the Chip & Company Podcast Network. My name is Mark Valentine, and I am the host of Dislife Podcast. Join us weekly as we discuss the very best of Disney parks, resorts, dining, and beyond. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to access more incredible audio content from the Chip & Company Podcast Network. Just a reminder to head over to chipandco.com for the latest and the most uplifting of headlines from across the Disney parks from around the world. We'd like to give a special shout out, as always, to the patrons of this podcast program, the members of our Patreon page who have special access to bonus content and much, much more. You can support this radio program by visiting us at patreon.com/Dislife Podcast. Without any further ado, let's say buongiorno to the co-host of Dislife Podcast, the consigliere of Chip & Company, the one, the only, Greg, the Disney fanatic. Greg, prego, my friend.
Salvely, my friend, Mark Valentine.
Why did you go into Mario?
Why did I go with the accent? It's me, Mario. I've come to talk about the finest Italian cuisine at the Walt Disney World of Parks, my friend Mark.
That's right. As Greg just said, as only Mario could, on today's podcast, Greg and I are talking about the finest Italian cuisine at Walt Disney Parks and Resorts. Greg recently experienced a VIP seating over at Tutto Italia, so we're going to not only recap his special dining experience together here on this show, but then we are going to be sharing our tips for the best locations to enjoy fabulous Italian cuisine while you are away from the Northeast. Greg, you know this, right? You hail from Philadelphia, but the greater Northeast, we're just blessed with having wonderful Italian-American cuisine. In your own words, what is that like in Florida? How are you coping without that sort of cultural hearth around you, my friend?
I will honestly tell you, Mark, not well. It feels like a loss in the family. I'm dealing with this on a day-to-day basis anymore, and a lot of medication. No, seriously. So I'm lucky and quite blessed to be married to my wife, Holly, who happens to be Italian, and her family hails from the great Southwest Philly portion of Philadelphia. So the whole family was very, very Italian. So I'm quite used to having that type of food and that type of meal and interaction of everybody being around the table. Everything revolved around the kitchen. And then I will tell you that I toured with a guy who was pure Long Island Italian, and all he did was eat pure Italian food. Like, restaurants would shut down just to serve him and his entourage. So I've been blessed with some amazing Italian food in my life. I have not been blessed with any amazing Italian food down here in the Florida region, except at one or two restaurants at Walt Disney World. So you are quite used to the same type of meals.
Well, Chip made you very jealous when he traveled up to New York City. And I think I told you, like, maybe 3 days prior to that, you're like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, I'm going to go grab a slice down the street. You were like, oh, I miss that.
I miss going down to the corner and just grabbing a slice. Every corner in the Philadelphia area, you have a pizza place or a cheesesteak shop that still serves some of the best pizza in the world.
Yeah.
You happen to live in that area still, so you can just probably call up down the street. They know your order, and they're like, yeah, Valentine, yeah, we'll be there in 20 minutes.
Yeah, you just walk right up the street, man, when you want a slice. And I know that we also, not necessarily Italian, but you also were like, oh, man, a good bagel right now. I would kill for a good bagel. So, well.
The bagel thing got me. So you and Chip both a few Sundays ago, you were like, I'm going up the street. I'm going to go get some bagels and some lox. And Chip at the same time was like, yeah, I'm going to the bagel store. And I went, I'm going nowhere.
You're like, I'm going to go cry myself to sleep right now.
We ended up having to drive 17 miles to what was considered a New York bagel shop.
And?
They were square.
Oh, no.
It was a letdown, my friend. Look, I will say this. I'm glad that we are doing this episode today. The Italian food in and around on Disney property is very good.
If you're looking
Some of
for
it's
the right
better
things,
than others.
yes. I was just going to say, let's say that Disney has certain items that overall, I will say, I don't think Disney knocks it out of the park, but there is one restaurant that does. But there are items within a lot of these restaurants that if you know, you know. And so this episode is meant to be a guide to help people traverse all of these restaurants to kind of get the best of in terms of Italian food and Italian cuisine. I want to talk a little bit about and qualify that today. But so before we do that, let's recap.
Wait. And before we do that, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Sure.
Listen, there may be some special guests stopping by this episode. We'll put that out on Front Street. Any imitation or anything is not to affect or say anything negative about any stereotype whatsoever, but the accent's going to be there at some point.
Stereotypes and spoilers ahead. All right. So on Tuesday, August 23rd, my friend, you had a chance to go and visit Tutto Italia. I think it was maybe my 4th or 5th episode. Linda was actually on Dislife Podcast, and we did a show called Dining. It was basically a this or that. It was like, don't go to this place, go to that place. And one of Linda's list was Tutto Italia. And we really love Tutto Italia. I do now feel like, and we've talked about and joked about this, that you've kind of like gone on record and said, you know, I was on the Disney Magic Band Plus trip before anyone else was. And then when everyone else kind of catches up to you, you've got that little edge over to them, be like, well, I was the first people to ever own one. And I was setting off those golden statues like 2.5 months before the rest of you. That's how I feel about Tutto Italia, man. We have been on Tutto Italia kick for 4 years now. So this isn't like a new location for us. This is our hidden gem. But you had a chance to go, and they had something special on August 23rd. It was a media event, and you guys had a prefixed menu. They gave you a sampling menu. Was that your first time to Tutto Italia?
That was my first time. It's great to hear that this makes it to the top of your list, makes it to the top of Linda's list on a this or that scale. At the end of this, Mark, ask me where this or that stands on this one.
Okay.
But yeah, so this was my first time over at Tutto Italia. To be quite honest, their hours were cut back since pandemic. They are now open.
Yes.
Monday through Thursday, 3 p.m. until park close at 9 p.m. So it was off my radar. You don't really think about this place. Yes, we go back and grab pizza back there in the Italy
Via Napoli,
Pavilion.
yep.
Yeah, Via Napoli over Italy Pavilion. So, but we would skip right by where this restaurant is because
Everyone
it
does.
always looks closed.
Everyone, yep.
They don't have the outside seating portion open, so the inside looks like it is closed. So yeah, it was just one of those, by how it looked, by what was going on. It was just one of those. We never really thought about it because it never looked like it was going to be a place to go.
Well, you can't get mad at yourself because our episode said that everyone always walks past Tutto Italia for the much more popular Via Napoli. And to be fair, if you look at Tutto Italia, it doesn't really look like it's open. You have to just kind of wander into it. All of the traffic and all of the buzz is back at Via Napoli. This place is like tucked away on the left-hand side, and you would just think that people are just parking their strollers over there. It doesn't really look very remarkable from the outside. You wouldn't even know that there's a restaurant in there unless you just stumbled upon it. You're looking for a restroom and you walk in, you're like, oh.
And to be quite honest,
what is this?
I'm kind of happy that it's this way.
Let's keep it. Yeah, let's kind of keep it that way a little bit.
Let's keep this on the down low. Look, for Dislife fans out there, this is for you only. Please don't pass it around.
So something open this long. Why did the media get an invite to the event? Like, was there a new dining experience? When they ask you guys to come out, there's generally something that Disney or the Patina Group wants to showcase. What was it specifically that they wanted to highlight? Like, why did they invite Chip and Company out?
They wanted to highlight the restaurant. They wanted to highlight that they were open because of the pandemic being closed for so long. They wanted to also highlight that the cultural representatives were back in the Italy pavilion. So they actually have, and it was really important that they let us know this, that they had 12 of the workers who are from Italy immigrated to the U.S. and became United States citizens to continue working there during the pandemic.
That's commitment.
That's it shows you the commitment, but it also shows you the level of people and why they love the Patina Restaurant Group. We have been lucky and fortunate to work with Patina many times, and they just kind of wanted to show off the restaurant. They do have a few new things on the menu, and they just want to show that, look, we're open. Here's a table service for two. Here's some of the stuff that we're highlighting for the next few months and getting into the new holiday season. Here's some tricks and some stuff that we might be doing for the Festival of the Holidays.
So it was basically, here's a new menu. Here are some new menu items. We're going to roll them out. And by the way, we're open. Oh, and by the way, the cultural representatives are back. Let's celebrate together.
Let's celebrate. Only Italians can do that, where they're just like, you know what? We got a new piece on here. Let's bring the whole family in and celebrate.
All right. So let's get into this menu a little bit. So how did they roll this out? Like, what was it like? Because you talked about a sampling menu, but you also said I drank so much that like they had to kind of like roll me out of this place when all was said and done. Like, how did they lay out the menu for you guys?
So there was so much alcohol. Mark, I'm going to throw this on Front Street just so people know I am not an alcohol drinker. I will have a beer here or there, but getting into like real spirits and mixed drinks, I am not cultured very well on that. After this one, I feel a little bit more cultured because each time we got served any new menu item or anything that they were bringing out, they served it with a glass of wine. They paired it, everything down to a T. So when you walk in, you got that. Listen, Mark, I'm going to throw this out also real quick. I'm going to hack some words. Just bear with me. Everybody knows that I do this. So please, it's not out of disrespect. It's just out of ignorance.
All right.
I don't know.
So let me ask you specifically about the two drinks. So you had the Frizzante.
Sure, yes, we'll call it that.
And the Italicus Spritz. So the Frizzante is the Campari, and it's a blood orange puree and a Prosecco.
And the blood orange does come out in there. It's a very fruity type drink. It's not very citrus like you would think of using blood orange. It's very fruity. The Prosecco is really good in there. But again, it's a starter. It is to cleanse your palate to get ready for what you're about to have.
You know who's not a fan of the blood orange?
Who's that?
That would be Don Corleone. Not a fan of the oranges. Did you know that when the oranges appear in The Godfather, it's never a good sign? And they're not blood oranges. Well, they are, but they're not. It's just if you see an orange, someone's going to die. Or
does he
someone's
not
in
like
mortal
blood
peril.
Oranges or oranges?
No, someone's in like mortal peril. Like so
So if a blood orange comes out, does somebody just get stabbed?
It might be. I don't know. Is that like a thing over at Tutto Italia?
I don't know, because I don't remember anything with just an orange. Like now, every time I see an orange, I'm going to be scared.
Well, now you're
some Italian Godfather somewhere.
You're going to rethink it. So the Italicus Spritz is a Prosecco. It's a Prosecco, Italicus, Rosolio, Bergamoto.
Thank you, because I couldn't say that.
And Cerignola. It's a Cerignola olive. The olive I've got, but the Bergamoto, that's a new one for me.
It's a spritz. It really is. It's flavorful. It's light. It's refreshing. The olives they bring in straight from Italy, and they actually said the region, and I believe it was a northern Italian region. I'm not going to hack it by saying the wrong thing. But it just kind of sits on the top of the drink itself. So while you're having this drink, you have the olive, and it kind of opens up the drink a little bit. I'm not an olive fan, but I'm a fan of this spritz.
So we found that the menu of Tutto Italia was more northern representative than southern. So we found the cuisine to be very much of what you would find in sort of north central or northern Italy. And most people don't know this unless they travel to Italy. But just like cuisine really varies regionally here in this country, so too does cuisine in Italy. It's not all the same thing. That when you travel to the various cities and former city states, you're going to find specialties and different influences in each one of those places. So the food over in Venice is going to be very different from Florence. It's going to be very different from Naples. Even Rome has, cuisines. And that's kind of what makes Italian cuisine so remarkable, Greg. And that's where I think Americans go awry with Italian food. We paint Italian food in like broad brushes. And it's like we have the Olive Garden mentality, right?
Oh, very much, very much. And we've fallen into that same thing where you think, oh, I'm going to get a lot of pasta heavy dishes.
Correct.
What you don't, and they highlight this on here is the fresh fish that you would normally get,
exactly,
like a northern Italian thing. But then they also go over to the Mediterranean side, the lower Italy, and bring out like the calamari and the beautiful fresh seafood flavors.
Yeah, so the emphasis is on fresh, but like in my opinion, and this is my opinion, people ask me why I'm such an Italian food snob. Having traveled to Italy multiple times, I think most people that live here in America, we have a skewed vision of Italian food, and unfortunately we're conditioned to think that Italian food relies solely on heavy doses of garlic and seasoning. I'm gonna use the word, it's a bastardized version of Italian staples, because if you have that same Italian dish from Italy, most Americans will eat that and think to themselves, this is nothing like the chicken parmigiana that I'm used to. This is nothing like the pomodoro that I'm used to. And I think that's because we're eating American versions of these sauces and dishes.
Right. Not everything has oregano in it.
Correct. And I think Italian cuisine here, it takes on the personality of us, of the people who are preparing it, which is excessive and over the top and over seasoned. Yeah. We are the drama. So I think we bring that drama to our Italian cooking. But true Italian cuisine, and what I like about Tutto Italia is it really is very simple and fresh. And that's what makes Italian food is it's not heavy seasoning. It's not heavy doses of oregano or basil. It's simple, small doses and touches of these flavors, and fresh. Fresh being the operative word. Less ingredients, fresh produce. I feel like this is a Papa John's commercial now.
So let's get to Tutto Italia. I do want to say a few things about when we were seated. On our table was 4 different bottles of wine that we could open that the chefs had paired with what we were about to do. They had sparkling water, but they also had regular water for us. There was at least 6 different size glasses at each position.
What was the sparkling water? Was it San Pellegrino?
No, it was whatever their house is.
Oh.
It was pretty amazing.
Oh.
But what they do is when you're seated, they instantly make you feel like you're part of the family. They're having a conversation. They didn't rush us one time. We didn't feel like we had to eat and get out. It was, hey, thanks so much for being here. And here's what we got going on. And and you could strike up a conversation, and the servers, Mark, were more knowledgeable about what they were serving than probably any other restaurant I've ever been to.
And they just continue. And I know that you told us, maybe people haven't heard this yet, they just continue to bring food to the table in droves. So they started you off. Anything you want to jump in, man, just hit the pause button on Mark. So they started you guys off, it looks like, with the taglieri. It was meant to serve two.
It served, they brought out 4 of them.
Wow. Okay. So
for 6 people.
The taglieri sounds amazing to me, by the way. Like, you had me at prosciutto. All right.
Can I tell you about the prosciutto? It wasn't thick. It wasn't.
It's not meant to be. If it's thick, it's disgusting.
Right. Yeah. Well, and even this was thinner than even the thinnest I've ever had. It was to the point where
razor thin. It's got to be translucent.
Ham, salty flavor literally melted in your mouth.
If it's cut right, you should be able to hold it up in front of your face and be able to see through to the other side. That
every time I tried to hold it up, it fell apart.
Yeah, that's good prosciutto. So, all right, ready? I don't know if your wife might already do this. So here's going to be a tip. Go to, if you do have an Italian deli, go and get yourself, I don't know, just a quarter pound or a half a pound of prosciutto, and tell them, I want it sliced so thin that I could see through it. And then when it's in season, go and get yourself melon. Go and get yourself, not honeydew, go and get yourself just an orange melon. Pair the two. One of my favorite things I ever ate in Italy was the prosciutto e melone, and it's just prosciutto on top of melon. It's going to change your life. It's going to rock your world. The sweet of the melon, and if it's fresh and sweet and in season with the salty of the prosciutto, it is an Italian delicacy. I'm very sad to see that it wasn't on the menu anymore, but that alone, amazing.
Does Don Corleone get upset if there's an orange melon?
Listen, Greg, I'm going to tell you something. When you do the prosciutto, it's got to be really thin, Greg. If it's not...
Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by legends, Marlon Brando.
It's true, Greg. I came back from heaven to hang out with the two of you. I heard that you was talking about The Godfather, and somebody said blood oranges, and I was triggered. Literally triggered. Somebody shot me, Greg. Shot me.
From heaven, you were triggered again?
I was triggered, Greg, and they shot me in the movie, so I felt compelled to come back and talk about the prosciutto, because I'm a fan of the prosciutto, Greg.
Well, that is super man of you to come and join us. Thank you so much, Mr. Brando. Listen,
I didn't like Christopher
Is there anything
Reeves
on this menu that sounds good to you so far?
So the prosciutto, the parmesan's great, and the taglieri, Greg, is why I'm here. I have come back from the spirit realm to talk about the taglieri, Greg.
I'm glad. Well, listen, we're going to go through this a little bit more, and we can maybe talk to you in a few minutes.
Yeah, hang tight, Mr. Brando. We'll revisit Ghost Marlon Brando in a few minutes. Wow, holy cow, he stopped by the studio. So let's get through prosciutto di Parma, salmetto, Asiago, gorgonzola, fontina. Of course, you got to have artichoke hearts.
The Asiago melted in your mouth.
Grissini,
it was so nice.
And again, the olives, those Serignola olives.
Yeah, they were showing off those olives. They that's what they were talking. And to me, I'm not an artichoke fan, but when you mixed it together with a few of the other cheeses, it worked really well.
Okay, so I'm going to complain a little bit. I did hear this part that you talked about on a podcast with Chip, that you said something that just kind of like, I was, you called them.
Did you get triggered?
No, you called them grizzly bits, and I got triggered a little bit. So you're like, I got the calamari, the fritti, and it was so great. They had it with the marinara, but they didn't have any grizzly bits. It was just.
No, I was happy they didn't have any of the grizzly bits.
I like the grizzly bits. They are delicious. Like the little.
No,
tentacles.
These were just the circles.
So I love those grizzly bits and they're not grizzly bits, man. It's a part of
legs.
It's like the Native American perspective of when they would use the buffalo. It's like just the Americans would take the meat and throw everything out. And there's like the single tear rolling down the cheek of the natives looking at what happens. Like Dude, you cannot throw out that part of that part of the squid.
They do.
You need to eat it. No,
there's a reason they do, Mark.
You fry that shiz up and you eat it, man. You do.
No, they were adamant. They were like, we only serve the circle, and I was like, so that'd be the hollow part of a squid.
Yeah. Well, good on them. But
it was the most fresh, wonderful calamari I've ever had, and they served it. Each one came with like 6 lemons, it felt like. So they wanted to make sure that you were using that. But it also came with a marinara that was delicate and worked with the lemon and the calamari.
It's outstanding there. I can attest to this. The calamari at Tutto Italia is probably one of the freshest and the best that I have ever gotten here stateside. Oh, and a Corona beer just arrived in the middle of the studio.
Mark, that is a holiday miracle. It's a Labor Day miracle in the Gately household. I just said I wanted a drink, and one appeared in the palm of my hand.
I made that happen, Greg. That was all me.
I just got a drink, a Corona Light, talking Italian with the Mexican beer.
That's very interesting. All right. The other thing that they gave you was a tortini di melanzane, baked eggplant parmigiano with pomodoro.
You just keep talking, buddy.
Mozzarella and parmesan. Was the eggplant rolled? Or was it served just flat like a lasagna?
I'm not an eggplant fan, so I really don't know the delicacy of how eggplant should be done.
I am an eggplant
I will tell
fan.
you,
Gives me
it fell apart,
yeah.
And the cheese and everything worked together. I will never turn down trying something new.
Okay,
but eggplant parmesan is not my favorite. It's the texture for me. To me, though, the pieces I did try were very good, but I could not tell you the intricacies of how eggplant parmesan should be done.
Eggplant again should also be very light and flaky. It should not be heavy and oily. And if it is, it is really disgusting. I love eggplant. Eggplant doesn't like me. It repeats on me horribly, and it gives me such bad acid reflux. But I used to make entire trays of eggplant parmesan, and my wife Linda, don't ask me to make it again if you listen to this episode, because I love it. First, you're going to enjoy it, and then you're going to suffer later on. But that sounded really good. Now these are the main courses, right? So then you had the gnocchi, Sorrentina. Yes. And for people who don't know, gnocchi is actually made from potato. So it's a potato dumpling, but it looks like...
talk about the gnocchi for a second.
Yeah. So roasted tomatoes, pomodoro again, and burrata cheese.
It looks like a pasta dish when you first get to it. Again, I'm going to talk out of ignorance and because I don't understand certain Italian dishes, but it gets served and looks like pasta. When you try the dumpling by itself or the gnocchi by itself, it was light, it was airy, it was fluffy, it was fresh, and you got that potato flavor into it. When you would have it with the Parmigiana and the mozzarella on top, it opened that up, and the flavors were so delicate and good. I could see a dish like that will fill up probably 2 people off of one dish. It's so good.
So again, northern Italy for people who... And to go back to what I was saying, gnocchi is very much from the north, being closer to like those northern countries, a la Germany, a la the Slavic nations. So that obviously that food item has filtered down to northern Italy. My favorite pasta dish at Disney is a gnocchi pasta, by the way. Which
we're going to get to in a few moments.
And then you also had the salmon, pan-seared filet of salmon, green asparagus, and herb sauce, and the manzo brasato, braised beef, short rib. That, to me, sounds magnificent with the portobello mushroom, ravioli, served on a red wine sauce.
Let's go back to the salmon and talk simplicity. The salmon itself really was not spiced with anything.
Shouldn't be. Yep.
And it felt like it was baked, but then I don't know how they cooked it, and I probably should have asked, but the outside had this crunchy texture that made it feel like they had deep fried it for just 30 seconds, like a quick flash fry.
It was a pan sear, yeah. So they crisped it up in the pan. just long enough.
So every time you took a bite, it was like going through a little crust and then getting the nice flaky, beautiful color. It tasted so wonderful. And then they put that little pomodoro sauce on top of it with a little roasted tomato, and it opened that up. And it was more like a pesto type sauce, an herb pesto. It felt like so wonderful and good. Probably my favorite salmon I've ever had. And I make personally a great salmon. I do say so myself. The Manzo Brazzato, is that, did I
Nice job. Yeah.
Thank you. That's the one I get for the episode.
Well done, Greg. Very proud of you.
I appreciate that, Mr. Brando. I loved you in Apocalypse Now, by the way.
That was just me collecting a paycheck, Greg. That was the same thing like Superman. I was just getting a paycheck.
We'll check back in with you in 1 second. Manzo Brazzato, the beef braised chuck, short rib, portobello mushroom ravioli, red wine sauce. It was very well reduced, the red wine sauce. So on top of the short rib, fell apart, obviously. It felt like it was cooked for days on end, so it would just fall apart on you. The special thing about that, though, the portobello mushroom ravioli on the bottom was... I don't even have words for how good it was. It was like a wild mushroom inside of a ravioli that worked well with the red wine sauce and the short rib. So it was a full dish. It wasn't like here you're getting this and a side dish of this and a side dish. It was all worked together as one thing. Now, again, each time they served us one of these, which was back to back to back, they would serve with the salmon. They gave us a beautiful white wine. With the Manzo Brazzato, they gave us a really deep burgundy red wine that was so beautiful and flavorful. And I love a good Merlot. I think it was a Cabernet Sauvignon that they gave us for it.
I'm sorry. I just thought of Silence of the Lambs. I don't know why. Like, I enjoy a nice Chianti.
I didn't know Hannibal Lecter was joining us also tonight
with some fava beans.
Wow. We have two acting
I'm sorry.
legends.
I'm really sorry, man. I derailed that when you're like, I do enjoy a good Merlot. I was like, we've gone full.
I am not allowed to be sophisticated, Mark. Is that what we're getting to?
You
All
are.
Of a sudden,
no, you are.
Greg's got to be there with a beer on a lawn chair made of plastic.
Go ahead, man. Continue on with your
No. I'm out of this one now. Let's keep
nice
on moving.
Chianti. All right, so
they served us. What I was trying to say, by this point, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drinks.
That's a good time.
That's not including what's going to happen coming up. Because what's not listed there was they brought in from Gelateria Toscano, the dessert place next door. They brought in probably 7 or 8 different desserts and gelato, and they just kept on serving us that. And then at the end, they were like, "Oh, well, listen, you can cleanse your palate with a good Bailey's Irish drink or a coffee or an espresso, whatever you want, or try the limoncello."
Yeah,
I was like, "I'll try the limoncello."
I was going to say it should be the limoncello or a sorbet. Like a lemon sorbet is a good palate cleanser as well.
Yeah, I went with the limoncello, and
good choice, man.
It topped off the menu and the dessert really well, to the point where, remember when I said we got to go back to this or that on it?
Yeah. So let's do that now. So where do you place Tutto Italia in the World Showcase? Having now done this, where does this meal rank for you overall?
I have done every single one except for the hibachi table in
Tepanetto.
That's the only one I have.
You're not missing out on anything. We can...
Right. It's more of an experience than anything. So I've done all the other major sit-down restaurants. I can honestly tell you, this is the best restaurant sit-down meal you can have.
You're not lying. Correct.
In probably 3 of the 4 parks.
You're really not lying. I mean, it's that good. And again, it's why it made it on our list when we talked about it 2 years ago, that Linda and we just felt like nobody knows about Tutto Italia.
Dave, the manager, the operating manager over there, who works for, he's partnered, obviously, Patina Restaurant Group, so he's one of the managers at Patina, but he also is the manager there for Disney at Tutto Italia. Pleasant, knows what he's talking about, will sit down and talk to every single table that is sat. So you get this extra level of service on top of an extra level of the best food.
So here is the only downside that I ever tell people about Tutto Italia is it is buried very far back in the World Showcase. So unless you are in the World Showcase, let's say that you are in the front of Epcot or you're at Magic Kingdom and you go, oh, I have a Tutto Italia at 6. You really have to hoof it and you have to hike to get over to there. And it is more convenient if you're staying at the boardwalk or if you're staying at the beach club, because then it's a very quick walk from the back of the International Gateway. But it is not the closest thing to get to. It quite literally is probably the farthest from the gate, from the front gate.
I find that as a positive. And here's why. If I'm going to schedule a night out like this, because this is a night out into itself.
Correct.
You go there just to eat and then watch the fireworks and then go home. Whether it's with the family, with your significant other, I like having that time to stroll and have a conversation. So I think I like this restaurant and sitting down here so much is I can sit there and have a conversation with who I'm with and having a beautiful and amazing time. And then, let's go finish a drink and watch the fireworks go off.
It really is.
I thought that was a positive.
It's a different kind of dining experience that you don't feel like you're dining at Disney. You do feel like you're eating in a very authentic Italian restaurant. And it is, here's the stamp of approval that I give to Tutto Italia. In this episode, here's what I would say. Blanket, if you go to Tutto Italia, it is the most authentic Italian cuisine that I have ever had stateside when you compare it to what you have over in Italy. I'm not saying that like Italian American, but it is the most authentic food that when I go there, I truly feel like I am sitting in Tuscany, that I'm sitting in Venice again, that I'm sitting in Florence, that I really truly feel like the way that they have approached philosophically the food preparation and the and just the ingredients and the way that everything is plated and prepared and presented. I really do, again, feel that they have captured the essence of Italian cuisine, which is ultra fresh ingredients, everything prepared by hand in small batches, and everything really seasonal and really fresh.
I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second, Mark, because you're doing such a great job selling it. But you have been to Italy a bunch of times.
Yeah, we've been there 4 times.
This gives you a little bit of an edge up on other people. So give us your idea of what your favorite food was in Italy and what your favorite dish was in Italy. That way, because I want people to understand that you're coming at this from a place of knowledge and giving the right information.
The thing that when I come home, the thing that I can prepare or make for myself, as long as the melon is fresh and in season, if I close my eyes, is that prosciutto and melon. It's expensive because prosciutto is not cheap. Prosciutto, if you go to a local butcher and you get high quality prosciutto as it's, supposed to be prepared and sliced, it costs you anywhere from $25 to $30 for like a half a pound of it. It's very expensive. But probably the thing that if I close my eyes and I think of just something that I just really enjoyed, because we would go in the summer months because we were both teachers, but that prosciutto and melon to me, it's like a core memory moment. That's the thing that brings me back almost instantly. But the thing that I loved more than anything else, and I don't know what it was, is the pesto sauce. That we had some of the best pesto sauce. One time we had it in Venice. I know that it's not Venetian per se, but we had some of the best pesto sauce. But in and around Florence, we had this pesto, and it seemed like pesto was the thing that was in over the summer. Mm-hmm. And it was the pinoli and the pine nuts and the basil and the olive oil. And it was just very simple on a very fresh handmade pasta. And I'm triggered in the most good way just thinking about how delicious that dish was. So if you give me a wonderfully prepared pesto and I close my eyes and I dine al fresco outside, I can somehow like imagine or transport myself back to the Tuscan countryside. But we've gone to Venice, we've gone to Florence, we've gone to Fair Verona. We've spent time in Cinque Terre. On the Luca episode, I actually talked about our vacation to the Cinque Terre, which is in Pixar's Luca. Those just painted buildings in the mountainside, in those seaside towns. There's not a single car on the road. Automobiles can only go into one of the 5 cities of Cinque Terre. So it's like all footpaths and all former goat paths, lemon trees, just beautiful. We have been south. We've been to Rome. We've been to Naples. Italy is like, it's my comfort food, but it's my comfort place. Like, and you know this, like I didn't fly. And the only place that I would ever torture myself and fly to would be to go to Europe, to go to Italy. And I used to take kids on tour, but there's something special about Italy. So when I can go to a place like Tutto Italia and it triggers me, and I don't want you to think that like anytime I eat Italian food, it brings me back to Italy. Tutto Italia brings me back to Italy. That's how authentic and how good the cuisine is, man. And like, if I'm not selling it by saying that, like I can't, there's no higher praise that I can offer for a restaurant in Epcot of all places that they get it. They understand what it means to be good Italian food. There's great Italian American places, but that's Italian food. Italian food, not Italian American.
You should have seen the pipes.
So,
no, and I love that that core memory that it comes out of when you're eating. Look, as an Italian, you know that a lot of meals revolve around family and having conversation.
It does.
Just being around each other, fighting, not fighting, having a beautiful time, joking around. But it always brings back those memories. My wife always talks about, I'm eating this food. It reminds me of my noonie. So I get that thought process that you're saying.
Yes, and I love that. What a perfect way to express that. For those of us who are Italian, food is memory. I mean, food is memory for a lot of cultural hearths around the world. Italians don't have a monopoly on that sort of philosophy, but distinctly, Italians connect memories to certain foods. We connect it to people. We connect it to events. We connect it to places. That food is kind of like building muscle memory for us, and it connects these synapses for us. And it just brings us back to another time.
And apparently oranges mean death.
They do. So overall, ladies and gentlemen, if you wanted just a blanket recommendation from us here at Dislife, the best overall, I would say, is Tutto Italia for the experience. If you're only going to go to a singular Italian restaurant in Disney, it should be Tutto Italia. It's a secret. Let's keep it a little bit like Fight Club. We don't want to be fighting with people to get in there. But if the place also does become crowded yet again, we can also maybe get weekends back for Tutto Italia. So I want you to go there. And I want you to go there in droves because we want to keep the Patina group going strong in that location.
Speaking going strong, let's talk price real quick. That's the one thing we did not mention.
And it's a la carte, by the way, too. Let's mention that because it is not buffet style Italian dining.
No, it's individual dishes, and the price point there is cheaper than the majority of other sit-down restaurants in the Epcot World Showcase. So I actually have the menu in front of me. Let me just point out just a few of the prices here. That way you guys can have an idea. So the salmon we were talking about is $34. The Parmigiana, $34. The most expensive thing was the Monza Risotto, which was only $42 for the dish. That's cheaper than Canada. That's cheaper than the France pavilion. I don't know what sitting at the hibachi table is, but I know over at Nine Dragons, this is on par with what Nine Dragons does. Even the prices for the antipasti is like $25 for the calamari. The rest is like $12 to $18. So you're looking at a price point that is on par with what is for sale around Epcot.
And the portion size, the other thing that Greg, just to piggyback off of that, for that amount of money, they're going to challenge you to just finish your food because there is a really healthy portion of food on your plate that for that $39, you're going to have a lot of food in front of you. You're not going to look at your dish and go, I paid $39 and where is the beef? You're going to have a lot of food in front of you.
Oh, a lot of food. Look, when they gave us the full dish of the Monza risotto. Well, I would have to split that with Holly.
Yeah, and here's the other thing too. So if you are a very safe eater, and when it comes to Italian cuisine, if you're looking for the stuff that's on the safer side, you're still going to find the chicken parmigiana. You're still going to find the fettuccine alfredo. There's still a spaghetti dish. They have a beef, veal, and pork meatball with just a basic pomodoro sauce and a spaghetti. And it's not a cop out. My daughter gets it, and I've tried it just to say, oh, I want to see what this is like. And it's delicious. My niece has gotten the ravioli. Again, I've also tried a little bit off her dish to just get a sense of what that dish was like. But they have a wonderful ravioli there. So there are the things that Greg is talking about and that we tried on that menu that he had for that VIP experience over there. But there's also traditional Italian favorites or Italian American favorites that are prepared in an Italian style, and they're wonderful. So,
by the way, I hate you right now.
Why? You're hungry.
The hunger that I have during this episode, like all of a sudden I am like literally drooling listening to this talk. And then I have a beer next to me. It's Sunday. I am now ready to go. What are you making for dinner tonight, Mark?
Well, you can also go there tonight. Like you can hop in a car. Oh no, you actually can't. It's closed. But tomorrow you could go there. So we have
by the time this airs, I could be there while this episode airs.
So we've prepared, and I'm sorry, like people are going to judge me really hard right now, but we've actually prepared our Sunday gravy here. That when football season comes around and when the fall comes around, that's when I start to prepare the Sunday gravy and the Sunday sauce with meatballs and sausage. And then the family comes over and we usually watch football. We all gather around the table. It's a Sunday tradition that we have every single Sunday. But I'm sorry, sacrilege. It's actually turkey sausage and turkey meatballs because I'm trying to be healthy.
Oh, so listen,
don't judge me.
And we'll forgive you right now. Run Disney is coming up on you fast. And we do know that you try and get in shape earlier than you did last time because the last time hurt a little bit.
Well, no,
so
I have a 5 and a 10. Yeah, and I have a 5 and a 10, not just a 5. I have a 10. I have 2 races, dude. I have 2 races. Wow. I'm gonna die. I have 2 races.
Good luck, my friend.
All right, let's do some quick tips for those people beyond Tutto Italia. Here are our recommendations for the finest of Italian cuisine throughout Walt Disney World Parks and Resorts. I'm going to throw this out as a disclaimer. I do not get over to Disney Springs all that often or often enough to really be able to give a recommendation on Enzo's or anything over at Disney Springs. My apologies, but I have gone to all of these places. I speak with knowledge because not only have I gone to them, I have had multiple visits. I have tried multiple menu items. I can speak definitively on what is the best Italian food. And so, dude, let's do that first and foremost. So you mentioned gelato, Greg. You have thoughts.
I have many thoughts.
And I actually concur. So I'm going to turn this over to you because I agree wholeheartedly with this pick. You and I both agree on if you want outstanding gelato, there is a gelateria. Where, Greg?
Gelateria Toscana is at the Italy Pavilion. It is actually out front of pretty much across the way from Tutto Italia. Now, listen, I'm going to talk gelato for just one quick second, and I'm going to bring up a past episode that Chip and I did over at the Chip & Co. Podcast Network. We got a chance to speak with executive pastry chef, Chef Michael Gabriel, who came into the Patina Restaurant Group and redid the gelato. He redid the desserts to how he wanted them. And I'm going to explain something to everybody just so everybody's in the know. And this is a great tip for you. Whatever gelato you get at, say, any of the Patina restaurant groups here at Walt Disney World, whether it's Disney Springs or Epcot. So think of Tutto Italia, Pizza Ponte, Maria and Enzo's.
Correct.
Gelateria Toscano. What is the other one? I'm so sorry. At Space 220 itself. Mm-hmm. They are all done by Chef Michael Gabriel. They are all made on property at the Space 220 restaurant. They have a lot of space to make mass produce these desserts, and then they send them out to these individual places. So anything that is a Patina Restaurant Group, it'll always be the same exact gelato that you would get at the other restaurants. So Gelato Toscana, what is it? Gelateria Toscana is the place to go because they have a bigger selection. But you can get the gelato at any of these other places, and it's all the same thing, and it's all beautifully done.
Okay, so are you ready for a hack? And here's something that I learned from Italy, from the Italians. Rookie move. I would go up to a gelateria. We'd be in Rome, and I would say, can I have the lemon gelato? And I'd be pretty proud of myself. I'm like, yeah, this is really good. Or can I get the mango? And then I would see the locals go up and order, and they'd be like, could I get the mango and a little pistachio? And I'd be like, oh, we can do that? Wait, what? So when you go up to Gelateria Toscana, order it like a pro, order it like a true Italian, and say, I want to have, there's 2 scoops. I want to get the chocolate and I want to get the pistachio, or I want to get the cookies and cream and I want to get the stracciatella.
Correct.
You've got to get...
the stracciatella is so good there.
You have to get stracciatella. If you don't know what stracciatella is, listen, please trust me. One of the scoops has to be the stracciatella. It has to be.
Mark, I'm gonna apologize to you right now. I have to correct you on something.
Sir,
if it's lemon, it's considered a sorbeti.
Yeah, it is a sorbetto. Yeah.
You said gelato.
Well, the limone. Yeah. I did.
Did you all of a sudden get the accent? You're like, oh, he wants to correct me? Great. I'm going to pull out my Italian accent.
No, it is.
No.
On a technicality.
I'm just saying, Marco.
Yeah, no, but like the lemon, strawberry, raspberry are
I got
sorbetti.
corrected by Chef Michael Gabriel when I said it myself. And I was like, I'm always going to remember that and correct anybody who munches it. The lemon.
Well, that's like, I got corrected the one time that we were talking about sushi. And I said, I really am enjoying sushi. And the chef said, well, technically you're eating sashimi right now. And I was like, oh, so yeah, there's nuances to these things.
DB Mario would have a lot to say. Like, why are you correcting me? I'm just a here guy in a pipe with a frog. I mean a turtle.
A quick hit. If it's run by Patina Group, you're going to get the same gelato.
Top notch. Pretty much all of the Italian places minus the one in Magic Kingdom, Tony's Town Square, are all run by Patina. Everything else is run by Disney.
All right. So I have to say this because, listen, everybody's going to want to know. I can walk down the street and get a slice. New York City, Brooklyn pizza is some of the best Italian American in the world. The best pizza I've ever had is, no joke, in Pisa. That we got pizza in Pisa. Seriously. And it was the best pizza that I had.
You waited this whole episode to say that, didn't you?
I didn't.
Like, I'm going to have pizza and pizza. Pizza and pizza.
I didn't plan that. But if you want to get the best pizza or Italian style pizza, not necessarily what you would expect from Brooklyn, not New York style, but just the overall best experience, everybody kind of knows this one. But let's reinforce it and pretend that people don't know it. I can say it definitively that my pick on this is the Via Napoli sit-down menu, not the pizza window. Sit down, order the 20-inch large margarita, not margarito, margarita, 20-inch large.
Who's Margarito?
I don't know. It's just it's a 20-inch pizza, tomato sauce. Again, remember, simple. Tomato sauce, fresh mozzarella, and basil. It's going to run you $33, but this thing will feed the entire table. There's a lot of larger families that will order 1 or 2 pizzas. They have really great pizzas, but I'm going to tell you right now, while some of the other ornate pizzas are also good, if you just do a simple margarita, I'm guaranteeing you it's going to be one of the closest things that you're going to get to having pizza from Europe and from Italy specifically. It's really good. It is Mark approved. Generally, Mark does not, I don't mess with the pizza down in Florida because it is just not doing it for me. But if you say to me Via Napoli, I'm down. I'll roll with you. We can.
Do you guys have a good tomato pie next to you? I bet you can get a good tomato pie like at the grocery store. We can't get a good tomato pie down here.
Yeah, we could. I mean, the nice thing too is when you live next to a metropolis like New York City, there's like little enclaves and cultural enclaves all over. Mm-hmm. You know, that there's little pockets of ethnicities that live in various neighborhoods of the city that have brought that with them. You know, so the closer that you live to one of these international, you know, LA is the same way. LA has a great food scene. I'm surprised that Orlando doesn't have a more robust food scene, man.
They're trying to feed the masses. I completely understand why Orlando has it. Outside of the parks, there are some really well done restaurants.
Oh, I'm sure there are. Yeah.
But it's you're trying to cook for the mass stomach down here.
It's the water down there too. Yeah. What's going on with the water?
I don't know. So here's where you and I differ, Mark. Almost every other little bit you and I agree on. The only place I will say that you're right. I do think that is a great pizza, and Holly and I used to go there, and we still do whenever we get a chance. We have found, though, and it's probably a nostalgia thing, we miss that Philly, New York City style pizza. So to us, the greatest pizza in the area is over at Pizza Ponte, which happens to be upstairs, and it's part of Maria and Enzo's. And we just, it's
never gone.
foldable slice that you're used to, where I can just pick it up. I'm not kidding. It's a good 17 or 18 inches each slice. It's huge. And you fold it up nicely. It's got the mozzarella and the cheese on top with a good little tomato sauce in there. And the dough is so New York dough.
All right. I've never gone. Challenge accepted. Let's go to Pizza Ponte next time I'm down. Deal?
Let's go to both. Let's just go to both.
All right.
Deal. I will take you to Pizza Ponte.
Okay. So this next place that I'm going to talk about, it doesn't get a lot of love because it is somewhat off the beaten path. But here's my pick for the best pasta dish. The one that we just talked about a few minutes ago. And again, I like all of the pasta dishes over at Tutto Italia. But I want to get a little bit out of Tutto Italia because I have to, or I'm just going to be like, just go to Tutto Italia. That's
the whole episode.
Just go to Tutto Italia. The episode was over in 5 minutes. How was Dislife Podcast this week? It was 5 minutes long. Mark just signed on, said hi to Greg, said go to Tutto Italia, and that was the end of the episode.
Thank you. Good night. End of line.
Yeah, there's other good stuff out there. So my pick on the pasta dish is over at the Trattoria Al Forno. They have a truffle gnocchi. Yeah, dude, truffle gnocchi. And it's with a Parmesan, Fontina, and Pecorino cream. It's $26. There's a really nice portion. It's a really nice, different take. It is, as far as like simplicity goes, it's not quite as simple as what you're going to get. It is a little bit spiced up. It is a little bit jazzed up. Just the fact that it's truffle gnocchi kind of indicates that it's already jazzed up and it's kind of turned up to 11. But it is very good. It is very filling. And it is the one thing that I truly enjoyed. And if I'm going to go back to Trattoria Al Forno religiously, it's going to be for this gnocchi. And I sing praises about it. A lot of times people don't know that this place even exists. It's always available. I think a lot of that is because it's on the boardwalk and people just think to themselves, how am I going to get over the boardwalk to have dinner? And then what?
What kind of cream is it served with?
Pecorino.
Oh, that's probably really good. Is that like the pepper?
No, pecorino. No, it's like pecorino romano cheese. It's a style of cheese.
Okay, thank you.
Delicious.
Okay, moving on.
You're like, I'll take your word for it, Mark. Have you done Trattoria Al Forno or
the breakfast?
I like the breakfast. The Bon Voyage.
Unimpressed.
So I
very so unimpressed that I'm like, yeah, I sat there. The waitress was bad, and
so mixed reviews for me. I got King Triton's breakfast calzone, and I loved it. Then the next time I copped out, and I was like, do I want a calzone for breakfast? And I ordered the pancakes, which I thought was safer, but they looked so fluffy that I wanted to die.
They are very fluffy and thick. They're not fluffy like
and
fluffy.
Cold.
They're thick
and cold.
They're very thick. I don't need a thick pancake.
And they were cold. And it's the second time that we had gone there. It was the second time that we ordered those pancakes. Linda got them the last time. And I asked her the second time how they were again. And she said, again, cold. So we have not gone back there, which I feel bad because I did really like the breakfast calzone. I thought it was cool. It's a neat food item.
There's a lot of other places ahead of that to try again.
Correct. Yeah.
Let's go with best appetizer. I'll do the first one because you and I both agree on the calamari fritti served with a marinara picante and the lemon
from
Tutto Italia.
It's good. It's good.
We just said how great it was. We don't really need to rehash that one. So I'll let you talk about the other appetizer. Not let you. Jesus, man.
We're gonna go back.
You take this one.
Yeah. So no, we're gonna go back to Trattoria Al Forno again over at the boardwalk. They have coastal mussels at Trattoria Al Forno. They are prepared. I love mussels, and I get them a lot here in the Northeast. When I see that there's mussels on the menu, yes, like I'm in. I'll try it. Mm-hmm. The mussels there, very traditional, served in a white wine sauce with some shaved fennel, some chilies, and then it's a little bit heavier because it's a pesto cream that's mixed in with that white wine. But for $18, it was a nice helping of fresh mussels. To me, that's always a really enjoyable appetizer because it's not too filling. And I think it's a really good aperitif. It kind of gets you prepared for what's coming in the main course. But mussels at Trattoria Al Forno, trust me, worth every bit of that $18. It's a pricey appetizer, but worth every penny. All right, man. Let's talk meatballs.
Okay, let's talk meatballs.
Because that's a spicy meatball, Greg.
Look at the meatball, Mark. We're going to have some spicy meatballs.
My answer is going to surprise a lot of people right now.
So, yeah, I don't have an opinion on meatballs. I do. My palate is just, I've had it from my wife's family my whole life, and that's the meatball I like. So I don't try it anywhere else.
So as a rule, Bella will traditionally get the spaghetti and meatballs. So I truly have tried the meatballs at every single place. Tutto Italia has a really good meatball, but there is a better meatball, believe it or not. And again, I can't believe that I'm saying this because people are going to look at me and think that I'm crazy because it is of all of the Italian, it's probably the second last that's good. Okay. And that would be Mama Melrose's over in Hollywood Studios.
Wow, I did not expect that to come.
Yeah,
into this conversation.
It's not a great restaurant. It is really hit or miss. When I go there, this is how bad of an Italian restaurant it is. I get the steak now. Like when you go to an Italian restaurant and you're like, "Can I have the steak with the macaroni and cheese on the side?" Like I've given up on the Italian food. That's how bad I think the Italian food is. Now, again, and I want to say this lovingly because I know that there's people that are patrons of this podcast. I also know there's listeners of this podcast that are like, man, Mark's a jerk. Like, I like the Italian over there. Listen, it's subjective. Everyone has their own palate.
No, it's not. It is not subjective.
It's like, that to me is like ragu.
Mark is the worst.
Yeah, it's like, imagine if someone took a jar of ragu and just, that's the style of...
Hey, it's me, Chef Boyardee.
Yeah, it's the style of
Italian food.
Dude, Chef Boyardee doesn't even season his food as much as they're like dumping like bottles of oregano.
What do you mean I don't season my food?
Yeah, bottles of basil in their sauce, and it's just way overpowering. I mean, I feel like their sauce is just way over seasoned. But the meatball, which you can also get as an appetizer, just comes out one giant meatball. I find is probably the best meatball dish. It's house made, marinara on the side. It's served with some fresh ricotta and some basil. It's $13, and I don't have to suffer through the bad pasta dish in order to enjoy the spicy meatball. But surprisingly, if you find yourself at Mama Melrose's because you lost a bet or you couldn't get an ADR, get the steak. Don't get any Italian, but get the meatball to feel like you did get a little bit of an Italian dish.
Come say hi to me, Chef Boyardee.
Is that what Chef Boyardee sounds like?
Yeah, because he's not Italian.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. All right, let's say, Greg, they want to play it safe.
Okay.
I make fun of my wife constantly for this. My wife is the safe Italian eater. It doesn't matter where we go, what restaurant, what city we're in. If it's an Italian restaurant, take a guess of what Linda orders. What could be the safest, besides pasta, what could be the safest Italian dish to get?
Well, Mark, obviously that is going to be the chicken parmesan. I'm not even going to add a parmesan.
You're right. It's chicken parm.
It's just chicken parm.
Chicken parm.
Look, even I
dish.
once in a while still am like, I could go for a good chicken parm. And I think that's just built in from my childhood. That's the first dish you try. Well, after spaghetti meatballs.
You're like, it's
Boyardee.
mozzarella cheese, sauce on fried chicken. What can go
Where
wrong?
can you go wrong?
Yeah, what can go wrong?
Believe me, stuff can go wrong.
And surprisingly, a lot can go wrong with chicken parm. A lot can go wrong. So if you are the play it safe person, here's what I will tell you. The best chicken parm, breaded chicken breast, mozzarella, parmesan. And it's actually great because at this place, it's also served over very fresh spaghetti with a tomato sauce that does not come at you. $34. It always comes back to, Greg, Tutto Italia. The chicken parm there is
so good.
So good.
Yeah.
$34. If you want to play it safe, not only should you go to Tutto Italia for everything else, but they do have the best safe
Look,
menu.
We've been through this. Just go to Tutto Italia.
But they have the best safe menu for the kids and for people who are like, I don't know about that. I can't eat a lot of garlic. Listen, anyone who's telling you that eating a lot of garlic is a prerequisite of Italian food, run. And I'm looking at you, Tony's. I'm looking at you, Tony's Town Square. Tony's, you come out and you're like bleeding garlic. It's all that's wrong in the world.
This is bleeding garlic.
It's like,
what's your blood type? Garlic.
Yeah, your wife is going to tell you for days on end. It's like, you smell like
is that garlic? Did you have garlic? Oh my God, Mark, what is that? Is that garlic?
Uh-huh. All right, so let's let's finish this up with the let's go to Olive Garden instead category.
Oh, yay, yum.
And that would be the what location can we skip? And look, I've tried this place, and it's not like I've tried it once. It's not like I've tried it twice. It's not like I've tried it 5 times. I have been to Tony's Town Square Restaurant at least, and I say this, at least 8 to 10 times over the course of the last 5 and 6 years.
Mark,
they've changed chefs.
I love you, but are you a slow learner? Because
no, man,
after one time, you're like, oh, okay, maybe it was just an off night. After 2 times, you're like, I'm good. I don't need to go back. Why 8 times?
Lazy, man, because we would want to get an ADR. There was nothing in Magic Kingdom. We wanted to eat. We didn't want to go to a quick service. And so this was quite literally, it was like 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Did you realize that's why it was open?
Yeah. And we were just looking at what was available. Skipper Canteen was filled. All of our favorites were filled. And it was, man, I don't feel like going to Epcot. I don't feel like even going back to the hotel. I just need something that I'm going to eat. And so we always wind up at Tony's Town Square Restaurant because we failed to plan. And I'm going to tell you this right now, like, I would rather go to Olive Garden because at least at Olive Garden, I'm getting the unlimited soup and salad and breadsticks. Tony's Town Square Restaurant, some people like it, but it's everything that when you say Italian American cuisine, it's over the top. I've gotten scampi. I sweated garlic, like my blood type became garlic for like 3 weeks afterward. Everything is over seasoned. If I go there anymore, I'm going to tell you what we do. And I'm not a fan of it. It's just the least offensive of things. Linda and I split a pizza. And I don't even like the pizza. I'm just like, what's not going to offend me but fill me up?
Hey, Mark, it's me, Papa John. Just go there.
Better ingredients, Papa John.
Better people.
He's not better people. Papa John is not.
I didn't mean he was. I meant, isn't that his commercial?
Isn't he friends with Hulk Hogan?
Great guy, I heard.
Great guy. Let us know how we did, ladies and gentlemen, on our tour of Italy. We're trying very much to provide you with some ideas of where you can find good Italian food over at Walt Disney. But this was also a chance for Greg to kind of do a dining deep dive of Tutto Italia and the experience that he had. But Greg, before we sign off, where are we right now, man?
Well, Mark, we are about to get on a jet plane and we are headed out to the West Coast, or as you would put it, West Coast, best coast.
West Coast, best coast.
You and I together, my friend, are going to have one of the most amazing weekends, probably the hardest working weekend you and I have ever dealt with. We are going out, ladies and gentlemen, to D23 Expo out in Anaheim, not in Anaheim. Where? Yeah, in Anaheim.
It's correct? In Anaheim.
Wow, I don't know. My brain just went mush. We are going out there. We're going to get Thursday. You and I are going to hit Disneyland itself. We're going to go to Disneyland, California, and enjoy ourselves. And I'm going to put my cell phone down and just enjoy the experience of being in Disneyland for a day. Yeah. And then we have coverage for D23 for Chip and Company for the next following 3 days after that. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we will be bringing everybody all the information that you will possibly need, from parks panels to the Marvel, Star Wars, and the Disney movie and entertainment side of things, all the way up to the Legends Awards that are going to happen the first thing on Friday morning. I have my panel set. Mark, I hope you have some panels set. But man, this is going to be one of the best weekends of our lives.
I'm excited.
Somebody described it. I'm a bag of kittens.
I'm a bag of kittens.
I'm a bag of kittens.
That's a thing.
I am a proverbial bag of kittens.
You know, Greg, I'm going to tell you, it's better than being a bag of oranges, Greg.
Apparently, listen, Mr. Brando, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. Fresh off, I think one of your last performances was Apocalypse Now or Superman. Godfather 3. Were you even in that? Did you make it to Godfather 3?
I did not make it to Godfather 3.
I'm
Greg.
so sorry.
Oh. And I mailed it in on the other ones. I did.
Well, Kal-El, Jell-El, which one were you in?
I was Kal-El.
Thank you, sir. It was a good performance, I thought, but I was also 5 when it came out. So, listen, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Marlon Brando. And his Fear of Oranges.
The one and only. Thank you. Wow, man. Talk about star power on the show. This is crazy.
I got a little tongue-tied. I
could tell.
I don't get to introduce celebrities very often. Mark, what was the last celebrity we interviewed?
We had a great interview. No, joking aside, we had a great interview with Jodie Benson. That is in the it's in the kitty. Go and check that out from last Friday, where we interviewed the one and only Jodie Benson, Disney legend, voice of Ariel, tour guide Barbie. We sat down with her to talk about her new book, which is dropping on September 16th, Part of My World. That was an amazing interview. But listen, here's the thing. We have 5 episodes of the Chip and Company Podcast Network every single week. So every single day you can get your daily dose of Disney. Dislife is obviously so flattered to be a part of that. But I want to say thank you. We're going to sign off here. Thank you for joining us once again here at the Dislife Podcast on the Chip and Company Podcast Network. Greg, my friend, have a safe flight out west. I will see you at Disneyland. And to everyone else, we hope that you have an incredible week as well, and that it's filled with faith, trust, and pixie dust. We'll see you real soon. Dislife Podcast is brought to you by the Happiness is Addictive collection. Happiness is Addictive is passionate about spreading laughter and creating smiles worldwide. They love bringing their global community together through optimism, cheer, hopefulness, merriment, and celebrating life's magical moments. They know how important it is to celebrate life's adventures, and their apparel will give you everlasting, one-of-a-kind memories through pixie-dusted family photos, compliments from park guests, and magical moments with cast members. They pride themselves on high-quality, custom-made apparel at competitive prices with world-class service. Let them help you create a lifetime of memories, whether you're Disney bounding, kicking it poolside, participating in Run Disney marathons, having costumed adventures, or just living your best Disney life. You can find their Happiness is Addictive shop on Etsy. You can also find them on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and Pinterest. They are proud to be featured in Indy Central Florida, the Thoughtful Gift Club, and now here on Dislife Podcast. Their collection was founded by a 15-year former cast member who knows how to enhance your magical moments for a lifetime of memories with your family. Don't forget to use promo code DISLIFE15 to take an extra 15% off. What are you waiting for? Head over to Etsy and start getting happy today. Follow the link in our show notes and you'll find out for yourself that happiness is addictive.